I never thought I'd witness such a spectacle on an ordinary Tuesday morning at my local Starbucks. The cafe went eerily silent as hot liquid flew across the counter, narrowly missing the barista's chest. The young man, Adam was his name, had just handed a cappuccino to the customer with a courteous smile, her response hurling it back at him with surprising force, screaming that it was too sweet as if he'd personally offended her entire ancestry. The look of shock on Adam's face mirrored everyone else's in the store. We all froze, coffee cups, mid-air pastries, halfway to mouths. Before anyone could fully process what had happened, the woman who I'd later learned was infamous in the neighborhood launched into a tirade about incompetence and customer service. Within minutes, police officers walked through the door, and the woman's rant ended abruptly with a click of handcuffs. I'd been living in Oakwood Estates for just under 6 months, but it hadn't taken long to learn about Karen Winters, the president of our Homeowners Association. My neighbor had warned me the day I moved in. Watch out for Karen from the HOA. She'll find something wrong with your property before the moving truck leaves. He wasn't exaggerating. Within my first week, I'd received a notice about my mailbox being 2 inches taller than regulation height, and another about the unauthorized shade of beige I'd used to touch up my front door. Karen was legendary for her clipboard inspections every Saturday morning, documenting every weed, every misplaced garden hose, and heaven forbid you left your trash bin visible from the street after collection day. I'd seen grown men rush home from work to move their bins after receiving her infamous text messages with countdown timers attached. That particular Tuesday, I'd stopped at Starbucks on my way to work. Something I did a few times a week. I recognized Adam behind the counter, a college student who'd only been working there for about 3 months. He always had a calm demeanor and genuine smile. Even during the morning rush, I'd overheard other baristas warning him about the Karen during my previous visits. She comes in every morning at 7:45, cuts the line, and orders the most complicated drink possible. They'd said, then complains, "No matter what you do." Adam had laughed it off, saying he could handle difficult customers. I wasn't sure he knew what he was up against. Right on schedule, Karen pushed through the door at 7:45, her designer handbag swinging from her arm phone, clutched in hand like a weapon. I watched as she bypassed the line of 6 people marching straight to the counter. Adam glanced at the waiting customers, apologetically, before turning to Karen with professional courtesy. "Good morning. What can I get started for you today?" he asked with a warmth that seemed wasted on her. Karen didn't even look up from her phone as she rattled off her order. "Half foam, 1 pump, 130 degrees Celsius, cappuccino, and do not make it sweet. Last time it was disgustingly sweet. I need it perfect today. I have an important HOA meeting." I watch Adam carefully prepare her drink, checking the temperature twice, measuring the foam precisely, and adding just the single pump as requested. He even showed the order to another barista, who nodded confirmation. When he handed it over with a smile, Karen took one suspicious sip, then pulled the cup away and stared at it, like she'd found a bug floating inside. "This is wrong," she declared loudly, making sure everyone in the cafe could hear. "You deliberately made this too sweet after I specifically said not to." Adam maintained his composure, responding gently, "I'm sorry it's not to your liking, ma'am. I followed your instructions exactly. Just 1 pump as requested. I'd be happy to remake it for you." Karen's face flushed red. "Do you think I'm stupid I can taste the extra sugar? You're trying to sabotage my day because you people can't handle simple instructions." The cafe grew uncomfortably quiet as everyone pretended not to stare. Adam reached for the cup. "I apologize for the inconvenience. Let me make you a new one without any." But he never finished his sentence. Without warning, Karen launched the cappuccino across the counter. The hot liquid splashed across Adam's green apron and onto his wrist. He gasped and stepped back, shaking the burning liquid from his skin. Gasps rippled through the cafe. Several customers jumped to their feet. I found myself moving forward instinctively. Adam stood there stunned, but remarkably silent, dabbing at his reeling wrist with a towel. Karen, however, was just getting started. "You tried to poison me with sugar," she shouted, her voice hitting a pitch that made nearby windows seem at risk. "I'm calling corporate right now. I want your name, your employee number, and your manager." As she fumbled with her phone, I noticed another employee discreetly picking up the store phone, turning away slightly as she murmured, 911 into the receiver. Around the cafe, at least 4 customers had their phones out, recording everything. Police response was impressively quick. 2 officers walked in less than 5 minutes later. By then, Karen had demanded to see 3 different managers and had threatened to have Adam fired at least twice. When the officers approached, Adam explained what happened with remarkable calm, gesturing to his still wet apron and the reened skin on his wrist. "She threw a hot drink at me after claiming it was too sweet," he explained simply. The officers looked to the gathering of customers and several nodded in confirmation. "We all saw it. I volunteered stepping forward, and several people have recordings." I held up my own phone, where I'd captured the aftermath. Karen's demeanor shifted instantly when addressing the officers. Her voice became sugary sweet. Ironically, exactly what she'd complained about in her coffee. "Officers, this is a misunderstanding. This young man deliberately made my drink incorrectly after I've complained numerous times about their service. I was upset and the cup slipped. He's exaggerating what happened." The officers looked unconvinced. "Ma'am, we need to see your identification," one of them said firmly. Karen boked at this, clutching her purse tighter. "This is ridiculous. I'm being harassed for a customer service complaint," she protested. "I'm late for my meeting now. I'm the president of the Oakwood Estates HOA, and I have important business to attend to," when she tried to push past one of the officers, claiming she didn't have time for this nonsense. Things escalated quickly. "Ma'am, you need to calm down and provide identification," the officer stated more firmly. Karen refused again, raising her voice about knowing important people in this town and how everyone would regret treating her this way. Within moments, the officers had informed her she was being detained for assault, and as she continued to resist, they added disorderly conduct to the charges. The entire cafe watched in stunned silence as Karen was handcuffed, still ranting about her coffee being too sweet, as she was escorted to the police car outside. Adam, still behind the counter, looked shaken but maintained his composure. The store manager had emerged from the back office by then and was checking his injured wrist, asking if he needed medical attention. Several customers approached the counter, expressing their support and commending his professionalism. I overheard someone say they'd already posted their video online and it was blowing up. Another customer mentioned they lived in Oakwood Estates too and had been dealing with that woman's HOA tyranny for years. As I left for work, somewhat delayed but not minding in the least, I heard a spontaneous round of applause break out for Adam. 3 weeks later, I attended my first HOA meeting, curious to see the fallout. Karen was noticeably absent. The vice president led the meeting, instead opening with an uncomfortable announcement. "As you may have heard, Karen Winters is facing criminal charges for assault and disorderly conduct following an incident at Starbucks. The board has voted to suspend her from her position, pending legal resolution." He cleared his throat before continuing. "We've received over 60 complaints from homeowners about her conduct as president, which the board will be reviewing separately." The room broke into murmurs as a mix of surprise and what sounded suspiciously like relief. After the meeting, my neighbor filled me in on the details. Karen had been formally charged with assault and disorderly conduct. She was facing up to 6 months in jail and fines of up to $5,000. Her prestigious law firm had placed her on administrative leave after the video went viral, and she'd been spotted moving out of her house the previous weekend. As for Adam, Starbucks corporate had publicly praised his professional handling of the situation and promoted him to shift supervisor. My neighbor chuckled as he shared the final detail. The local Starbucks had quietly added a new drink to their specials board. The Karen, too sweet to handle Karen, reportedly drove by, saw it, and let out a shriek so loud it set off a car alarm. Her face went white as a sheet, and she sped away so fast she nearly hit a fire hydrant.